President Trump says that the U.S. will impose a new round of tariffs that will take effect on October 1st. The tariffs target pharmaceutical drugs, upholstered furniture, heavy trucks, kitchen cabinets, and bathroom vanities. Let's bring in CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady. She's live at the New York Stock Exchange for us today. Kelly, thank you for your time. Can you break down these new tariffs for us and the impact they could have on trade?
Okay, so let's start with what they are, Mugo. So these are going to go into effect next Wednesday. That's October 1st. And you laid out some of them there. 100% tariff on imported pharmaceuticals and drugs into the U.S. 50% on kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities. 30% on blanking on it, upholstered furniture, there we go, and then 25% on big rigs. So those are the big trucks. Now, you might not be someone that's driving a big rig, but I think it's really important to just call that one out because trucks power our supply chain. And so when you think about maybe if the cost of something like that goes up for a truck driver who are often owner operators, they might have to pass some of that cost on to the company that they are driving for. And what do trucks carry from one place to another? Groceries, everything. So you could see a little bit of cost trickle down there to you and me. But the bigger one is pharmaceuticals. So that 100% tariff, it's not completely a surprise because the president had floated that this was something that he had been considering. And back then, the industry warned this could mean higher prices for Americans, higher insurance costs, as well as potentially less access to those drugs. Now, I do want to caveat this, though, because in the president's announcement, he highlighted any company that is breaking ground or in construction on new U.S. production facilities to make those drugs here, they would be exempt from that tariff. And we do know Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, a lot of these big name pharmaceutical companies have already committed to spending $50 billion in some cases to bring some of their manufacturing here. So it's hard to identify exactly what the impact is there, but that is something to keep your eye on. The other thing, Mugo, that I want to point out is these are just two social posts. We don't have the executive order yet, so we don't know if these particular tariffs are in addition to the country level tariffs or if they might be in place for that particular item, whether it be an upholstered couch or a bathroom vanity that's coming over. So that's something that needs a little bit more clarity.
Okay, and Kelly, we have a new data out this morning on personal consumption expenditures. And I say that and I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. So please walk us through what that means.
I got you, girl. Okay, so PCE, this is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, right? So we've got CPI, PPI. The Fed always looks at the PCE. And the number that came in today, it rose 0.3% for the month, 2.7% for the year. And that's up from 2.6% in July. So this is an August number that I'm talking about. What does that mean? We're getting further away from the Fed's 2% target, but not egregiously so. It wasn't a half a point jump or anything. And so what this really tells me is the Fed, last week, remember, they cut interest rates. They decided to prioritize the labor market, the weakness that we're seeing there. You aren't seeing that runaway inflation, and that data today that we got really does underscore that. However, inflation is remaining persistent, stubborn even, some investors are telling me. So we just talked about all those tariffs that I mentioned. That's where you're going to see the Fed sort of take a pause and say, okay, we thought we had the tariff picture. Are we going to have more inflation because some of these new ones that are getting introduced into the mix? That is definitely going to be on their mind when they meet next month, Mugo.
All right. And we also know that President Trump signed an executive order that says it will allow TikTok to continue operating right here in the United States. What do we know about this proposed deal that still apparently needs approval from China, right?
Yeah, China has been pretty silent. The U.S. has indicated, or the White House has indicated that China has approved the deal, but we haven't really gotten that outward public acceptance of it yet. But what we do know about the deal is you're going to take the U.S. operations only of TikTok, move it into an American-owned joint venture. There's going to be a consortium of investors that operate and own that. It's going to be 80% ownership. Now, they're going to create a copy of that all-important algorithm and then move it over into this joint venture and retrain it on U.S. user data only. company that's going to be retraining that, software giant Oracle. They're also going to be one of the key investors leading this. Of course, Larry Ellison is the chairman of Oracle, and his son, David Ellison, is the chairman and CEO of Paramount Skydance, which is the parent company of us, CBS News. So you're going to have Larry Ellison, you're also going to have Rupert Murdoch, as well as Michael Dell, and the White House indicated they would be sharing more investors in the future, but they have been able to disclose those as well. They were also able to disclose the price, Mugo. Finally, I'm like, okay, how much is this going to cost? Company's going to be valued at $14 billion, so that is a big number.
Sure is.
And of course, everyone who's a TikTok user, you're still going to be able to use this as is through January. That ban was delayed until then so that they can get this deal done and all the details ironed out.
Yeah, I'm sure those people are very excited that TikTok will stay here in the U.S. Kelly O'Grady at the New York Stock Exchange for us today. Thank you so much for your time.